Hey, I'm Paula Williams with ABCI, and today we are answering a question from Alex. And the question is, are business cards dead? And he's got some good reasoning behind his question. We'll explain that, and then we'll also explain our reasoning for our answer in just a minute. So if you're joining us, please do give us a thumbs up. Let us know that you're there. And you can enter questions or comments while this is going on or after the fact, and we will answer those as we go forward. So, question from Alex, are business cards dead? And he gives a couple of really good reasons for this. He actually uses an article from Forbes from 2014, so it's a couple of years old, this article. But the article asserts that business cards are dead. Business cards are a relic of a bygone era of corporate schmoozing. Too many people use business cards as a proxy for actually being an interesting person. And most people use LinkedIn or Google instead of business cards. Everybody is carrying around a smartphone. So why would you bother with business cards? So that's a good question. And it does have some good reasoning behind it. So I really appreciate that. And in response to your question, Alex, we're going to send you one of our books. This is our social media guide for aviation professionals. And since you're already into social media, we know, that you're probably going to enjoy this because it's specific to the aviation industry. So that is wonderful. And we have a couple of people joining us from Peru. That's wonderful. My son's father's from Peru, or his family is from Peru. That's a small world. And Machu Picchu is definitely on our bucket list. That's one of the places we definitely want to go. So, are business cards dead? I would say no, and I'll tell you why. I think they are dated, yes, and they can't be the only thing that you can do. And of course, they are very, very limited in the amount of good that they can actually do, being a very small piece of paper. I also think a lot of people over-rely on business cards because they think the more they give out or the more business cards they receive at a particular trade show and things is a measure of success, and that's not necessarily true. It's not just about exchanging cards. It's about starting a relationship with someone and actually exchanging some meaningful information and making a connection on a human level. So cards are limited, and they have been overused, and they are often used as an excuse for not really doing the hard work of sales and other things that you should be doing, like LinkedIn, Google, actually talking to people and being an interesting human being as opposed to simply exchanging cards. So we're really glad you're here, and we're really glad that you've joined this conversation. We've got Matt Delamere. Yes, you can buy the book. It's on Amazon. An easier way to get one is to ask a question. If we use your question next week or the week after or in the future, then we'll send you a book. So you can do that, or you're welcome to buy one on Amazon. And it is actually pretty good. It's got our results from our 2016 social media survey. So thanks for the question. And glad you joined us. Thank you for that. Okay, so we had to make a conscious decision. Are we going to use dated technology, or are we going to try to bring our aviation clients and other people kicking and screaming into the 21st century? And I have to admit that when I first got into the aviation industry, and I actually came from the finance and education industry, I thought, here's an opportunity to bring some great new techniques and new technologies into aviation where people really can use some of these new techniques and technologies. But then I had to make the decision, am I going to be an evangelist for technology, or do I really want to help our clients sell more of their products and services? Those are two incompatible missions. So the answer to that is I want to help my clients sell more stuff, and I need to sell more stuff as a sales professional. So I have to use whatever tools and technologies and techniques work for us, whether they're new or old. So we ended up using a lot more direct mail, a lot more old techniques that actually work better in the aviation industry. So the combination really works best, and I'm going to show you how that works in just a second. So, business cards, dead or not? Our answer is they are certainly not dead. We really think that you need business cards for several reasons. One, you can't rely exclusively on technology. Okay, everybody may be walking around with a smartphone, but what happens if the battery is dead? Or the person you're meeting with has a dead battery or doesn't have their phone with them? The other thing is that a lot of these aviation events, Wi-Fi either costs extra or isn't available. Or, for some reason is not working in the area that you're in. And there's nothing more frustrating than waiting for something to come up on your phone. It's 1,000 times faster just to hand them a business card. So in some cases, old school wins out, right? Okay, so that's reason number one. Don't rely exclusively on technology. Reason number two is that aviation networking venues and trade shows are often noisy. Airports are very noisy. Bars and restaurants are noisy. People can't always hear you very well. But a business card is a nice way to make sure that they have your contact information and that they are spelling your name correctly so that they can find you later, even if they do decide to look you up on LinkedIn or Google or connect with you in some other way. Okay, so noise is number two. And number three is that your ideal prospects in aviation are decision makers. The demographics usually indicate that those people are in their 50s and 60s. The industry is kind of aging. We're trying to get more young people into positions of authority, but it doesn't happen overnight. So these are things that we have to take into account. Are people actually the people that we want to be connecting with? What are they like, and what technologies do they prefer? So, if our decision makers are in their 50s and 60s, these are not tech startup CEOs in their 20s and 30s. So, you want to do some pretty traditional etiquette, right? If someone gives you something, you want to give something back to them. It's kind of like if you refuse to shake somebody's hand. A lot of people have good reasons for that. They don't like the germs, they whatever. But it's kind of a put-off to a lot of people who really appreciate traditional manners. You shake their hand, you give them a business card, you do those kinds of things. You don't want to discount yourself or put someone off for a reason that's not a good reason. There are good reasons to put people off, there are good reasons not to connect with people, but a breach of etiquette is really not one. Okay, so do have business cards printed. I have some that I'd like to show you, some really cool ones. I'm going to drop some names in the aviation industry, so these are really cool ones. One thing you can do is maybe do a unique size. This one is a little bit narrower than usual, and this is actually Brian Allen from AATMX Maintenance Company. Really nice to have something that sticks out in a way by making those a little bit smaller. This one from Desert Jet it's actually kind of clear. I don't know if you can see this in the camera very well, but it's a clear plastic. It's a little thicker than normal, so unique materials, very interesting, definitely stands out. So good job there. Kirk Steffen, Meridian. This is a very traditional card, but very well branded, very polished, very put together, nice card, lots of information on it. Okay, one thing that we kind of like, that we've seen in the past and we're kind of seeing more of, is using a picture on a business card. Now this is interesting because it helps you after the fact. If you've just been to a 3-day event and you met a whole bunch of people and you don't remember which conversation goes with which person, sometimes this can help some of us really kind of put that back together again and remember some of the people that we talked to. So this one is kind of interesting because it's a man and woman. This is Dean Jackson. This is actually a Rotary International card from some people that we met. I really like this one. And it also has a map on the back that indicates the service area and some other things. So that's kind of cool. And if you're just joining us, we're talking about business cards in the aviation industry, and I'm going through some of my examples here. Here's another one with a picture. This is also using a unique size and rounded corners. That's another thing that they've done that's really nice. And they have a lot of their capabilities on the back. This is from ACE. This is Lee Sargent from Applied Composites Engineering. And, it's purple. I love their branding because, purple for an engineering company is very unusual and makes a lot of sense. And the capabilities on the back, they talk about their FAA repair station numbers, other things that people really want to know right off the bat. So it's very convenient, very thoughtful. I like that card. Here's one from Airbus that has all of their social media channels on it. So, once again, you're combining new technology with old. You're handing somebody a traditional business card, a little piece of paper. This is actually kind of a laminated plastic, but it has all of their YouTube channel, all of their social media channels on here. We've got Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google+, their own website, a media gallery, an Airbus Helicopters app, and their LinkedIn page. They show it on the App Store, Google Play, and other things. So all of the different ways that you can connect with them. That's a really nice, handy card as well. FlyTab, this is Luke Ribich. One thing I like about his is that he uses both sides of the card. One is kind of a nice display, showing their branding and things like that. And on the other side, he's got all of his information. So it's dark on light, very legible, easy to scan. A lot of people use the scanners on their cell phone to enter people's contact information. Made it real easy for all of the technology, but also made it very striking. So depending on which way you hand it to people, that's really cool. Universal Weather and Aviation, they have a very distinctive logo. And they did something kind of neat with their card. They did a curve on one side, this top side, and then the opposite corner. And that really fits with their branding. And then they have their promise on the back, promise or a mission. It's a good thing to include as well. This one, Newsletter Pro, Sean Buck. He's a friend of ours from some of our networking groups and things like that. He's got email, phone number, and website, and that's all you really need these days. Anything else you can pretty much look up and find. So I think I really like this one. It's a good way to do that. This one is very clever. This is a professional pursuit card from Aircraft Technical Book Company, and this has questions on one side and answers on the other, just like the Trivial Pursuit game. I think this is really clever. It's a nice way to have something to hand somebody. It has all of their contact information on it, but it also provides something a little bit more interesting in the process. Okay, just a couple more. Sharon Despor, Hella Values. Love this card. Very simple on one side, just the website and some clouds and things like that. On the other side, they have a really nice graphic and a lot of information on here. So good stuff from them. Here is an example of what not to do, and I can tell you this because it's my card. I designed it. The problem with this card, I actually really love the high contrast. I love the red on one side and black on the other. I like the logo. I like everything about it, except that this is glossy black, and you can see every single fingerprint that you put on this card. I am never going to have one printed in glossy black again. I think matte black does a much nicer job and doesn't look as messy after being handed around a couple of times. So this is my old card, Paula Williams, ABCI. Has a picture on it, has all of our information, a nice blue gradient which matches our old branding. And on the back is an offer to download an ebook. This was kind of a complicated card, and this was a couple of years ago. Since then, I've changed the way we do things, and I actually had one made that's simpler. This one is, you can't see this on the camera, but it was made by the Crane Company, so it's, when you hand this to somebody, they can tell the difference in the quality of the paper, and also it's engraved and embossed rather than simply printed, so it's a little bit different, and it has minimal information on it, just our website and a phone number. So, that of course is enough for them to find all of the rest of our contact information and connect with us in the best way possible. So, do you do business cards? I think so. Of course, I have a drawer full of business cards. Of all of the people that have given me business cards, have I contacted and done business with all of them? No, absolutely not. It's just one of many things that you need to do. Of course, you have to follow up after a trade show. You have to connect with them on social media. You have to engage in conversation with them. You have to pick up the phone and talk with them. There's no substitute for the hard work of sales, right? Okay, so that said, I think you absolutely should do business cards. And the answer to Alex, are business cards dead? My answer is absolutely not. And of course, you're going to agree with me, you're going to disagree with me, and you can do that in the comments. We love having some great conversation and hearing what you think. So next week, at this time, we're going to be talking about free or cheap website builders. Things like Weebly, Wix, Website 123, Web.com, and things like that. Should you use them? What are the upsides? What are the downsides? And things like that. So there's lots of them out there. Lots of people are using them, and they sure as heck are better than nothing. But, we'd like to go into a little bit more depth about what's good or bad about them. If you've got an experience, we'd love to hear it. So leave us a comment, give us a thumbs up, give us something to let us know that you're here. And also, feel free to ask a question. Once again, if you ask a question and we use it on the air, we will send you our social media guide for aviation professionals. So you can also buy this on Amazon. It's available on the web. So we'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us, and happy Marketing Monday.